welcome to today's video. And in today's video, I'll be doing my 2022 Senate update. I was going to do this on the 15th. I completely forgot about it until today, so I'm going to go get started. Also, sorry if the audio sounds a bit weird. I have gum in my mouth. I'm trying to kind of just push it to the side of my mouth, but the audio may sound weird as a result of it. In Colorado, Michael Bennet's going to win it safe. I mean, like, he ran ahead of Hillary Clinton. Biden and Clinton in a state like Colorado are pretty similar because, well, it depends on the candidate, the GOP candidate. Because, I mean, like, I guess Biden's better in rural areas, generally speaking, whereas Clinton is better with Hispanic and Latino voters. And Biden almost won it by a safe margin, so just considering that, it's probably going to be, safe. Could be likely, though. Candace, I mean, like, Jay Moran ran like 10% ahead of Trump in 2016. He's probably going to carry about like 25%. 24%. In Iowa, Chuck Grassley, even if Pat Grassley ends up being the nominee, we're still going to see probably a Grassley from Iowa. At this point, I mean, like, Chuck Grassley won by so much before. I don't know if there are any Democrats in Iowa who can really, come out and win the state. For the Republicans, or the Democrats' likely states, by the way, Indiana, I've labeled it likely before. I don't think that there are many, like, Democratic nominees, at least that I've seen. Like, I haven't been keeping up with the Indiana Senate race. But, I mean, like, I just think usually the Democrats tend to field fairly strong nominees. Anyways, for the Democrats' likely states, they actually have none. For the Republicans, they have quite a few. They have, not Ohio, Alaska, Florida, and New Hampshire. So, in Alaska, Lisa Murkowski's not going to do very well with the Republican vote with this ranked choice, but she'll probably get enough second or third votes. I mean, she's going to do well enough with the Democratic vote and well enough with the Independent. She'll probably come out on top. In Florida, I had this lean. I'm going to give it to Rubio likely. I mean, like, just given by how much he won in 2016, yes, Trump was on the ballot with him, but he's still probably going to win by like 6.5%, even against Stephanie Murphy. Val Demings would probably be a better nominee for the Democrats. In New Hampshire, Sununu, if he's nominee, he's going to be a really good candidate. He's going to be a nominee probably if he runs. It's just a question of whether or not he'll run. I mean, like, I'm just going to give it to the Republicans, because, I mean, like, I feel like it's been weird. In 2020, I significantly underestimated Trump. In the midterms, I actually underestimated Warnock, or the midterms, the Senate runoffs, I underestimated Warnock, and, I underestimated Warnock and Ossoff. So I've been a bit weird with my, underestimations, I guess, overestimations. My estimations, but in New Hampshire, I mean, like, Sununu is just, he's so popular. Kelly Ayotte won by like 30% in the Senate race, and yes, it was 2010. So yes, these are red waves, so just shifted, like, probably by a lot to the left, but still, she won by like 30%, and then Maggie Hassan, who is the governor, only won by 5% in the governor race, but she still was able to beat her in the Senate race with Trump on the ballot. So we typically see governors doing well. And I see Sununu, especially given how much he won by and how popular he is, probably winning by like 6 or 7%. For the Democrats, lean states, Nevada, Arizona, and Pennsylvania. I think this will be one of the last elections when Pennsylvania votes to the left of Georgia. 2024 may be the last one, if it even does vote to the left of Georgia. But in Nevada, Catherine Cortez Masto is too strong. I mean, like, I don't see CCM getting like amazing rural numbers, but I don't see her getting like awful. Like, I see her getting pretty average, I guess, for a Democrat, which is pretty bad, but especially without Trump even being on the ballot. Plus, she's probably going to do better with Hispanic and Latino voters. And I see Washoe County being really close, but she might nearly carry it, which would almost certainly give her a victory of like 3 or 4%. Arizona, the Arizona GOP seems to love to nominate Trumpists. They do really poorly in the suburbs, especially against a moderate like Mark Kelly. He has enough Hispanic and Latino vote that he can probably win it by like 3, or enough appeal to the Hispanic and Latino vote that he can probably carry it by like 3 or 4%. In Pennsylvania, I mean, it really depends on the nominees. Fetterman's probably going to be able to win it lean. I think Connor Lamb announced he's running for like is it governor or is it Senate to be announced for? I don't even remember. Someone please comment it down below. But Fetterman, I think he has a lot of appeal to the working class. I think he has he's kind of progressive, so he may not do amazing with the rural vote, but he does have more appeal to the working class. I don't think he's going to be amazing in Philly, but he's going to be a pretty strong candidate in, like, Pittsburgh. And if the GOP nominee is Ryan Costello, we're going to likely see Fetterman do really well with the working class, while Costello does pretty well in the suburbs, probably giving it to Fetterman by, like, 1.5% to, like, 0.7%. For the Republicans' lean states, I'm going to give them Missouri, Ohio, and that is it. So, in Missouri, I mean, like, Lucas Kuntz essentially at this point is the Democratic nominee. And I just see him, like, being a fairly strong nominee. He's a lot like Jason Kander was. Kander was able to narrow up the race significantly. I think that if it's Greetens versus Kuntz, it's a real possibility that a Democrat wins there. I feel like I've been one of the few people that's been saying that there's a possibility that the Democrats can win Missouri, and it's super weird that I've been, like, generally on New Hampshire, I've been to, like, the right of where people usually are. Like, even people like UEP, who people are like, he is being ridiculous about this. Like, I am still, like, I'm still predicting it being like 3 or 4% to the right, but then in Missouri, I'm predicting to the left of where people normally seem to predict, just because I think that Kuntz is a really strong nominee. I think that Greetens honestly could lose this race. It would not be outside of the realm of possibility because he's just such a horrible candidate, and Kuntz is just such a strong candidate. We could legitimately see this race end up being lean blue. I mean, in Ohio, it's just because Tim Ryan is such a strong candidate. He's probably the second strongest Democrat in the state of Ohio. I mean, like, in the polls, he's not been doing amazing, and the polls are obviously going to favor the Democrats. So he's not doing amazing in those. That might be a bad sign. I think that he has the appeal to Trump voters. I think he has a lot of the appeal to all these Trump to Obama voters. Even like from the governor election that voted, or 2018 that voted not only for Sherrod Brown but voted, I can't remember his name. Democratic nominee for governor. I don't remember his name. Okay, that kind of sucks. I forgot his name. But when, like, I think he could retain a lot of working class support. And I see him overall being a really strong candidate for the working class and probably narrowing Ohio down to like 2 or 3%. For the Democrats' tilt states, I'm going to give them Georgia and the first flip in a while, which is Wisconsin. Republicans, I'm going to give North Carolina. Now, in Georgia, I could see it easily being lean. Actually, I'm just going to give it to him lean because here's the thing. Herschel Walker is not going to get... He's not going to get the rural turnout that Trump did. And the suburbs are going to continue to shift to the left. And he's not going to be an exactly amazing candidate for the Atlanta area. It'll probably end up still being like D plus 1.5. In Wisconsin, and this is a take. I'm very. It's a very hard call because it could honestly go both ways. It really is at this point. It's pretty much a toss up because here's the thing. Ron Johnson, looking at his strengths and weaknesses, his strengths are with the rural vote, essentially. He's not going to get enough rural turnout, though. Godlewski is going to have the suburban strength. Enough suburban strength. She's going to have enough working class strength to the point where Johnson's not going to get a lot of rural turnout. Sarah Godlewski is going to perform well enough against a candidate that did really poorly with the working class. Honestly, for most Republicans, he did pretty well. I mean, like, he did worse than Trump, but Trump did really well. Most Republicans typically actually do pretty bad with the working class in Wisconsin. But Godlewski is going to be a strong enough candidate. And then Johnson is not going to get the suburban turnout needed. It's going to narrowly go to Godlewski. Honestly, it could go to Ron Johnson. It's like a 52-48% chance. It's a really close race. But I'm going to narrowly give it to Godlewski. In North Carolina, it really depends on the nominees. Pat McCrory could easily lose this race. Mark Walker could easily win this race. I'm like, Jeff Jackson versus Mark Walker, I have it being probably R plus 0.5. Jackson or McCrory versus Jackson, probably like Jackson plus 0.2. It really depends on a few things. First off is, especially with more suburban vote share, is the strength in the suburbs, and particularly the Democrats' shift in the suburbs. if they're able to shift it by a strong 4 or 5%, especially if there's less rural turnout, we could see this race go blue. We could see it go blue by a pretty large margin. Next is the working class. If the Democrats can do well enough with the working class, they could win this race. And then finally, it's the GOP's rural turnout. If they don't get enough, once again, this race could go blue. But I just think that Mark Walker at this point, I mean, like, he's not amazing, but he's not going to be horrible in the suburbs. And the same thing with the working class. He's pretty average. He'll probably get enough rural turnout to narrowly hang on to their seat. I mean, like, looking at the Democratic nominees, at this point, it's probably Jeff Jackson or Cherry Beasley. And I mean, like, Beasley can probably do pretty well. Like, I think LTE said, um, that she'll be able to, like, get more support on her platform or something like that. I mean, yeah, it's true. I think that she can get more momentum behind her, or it's hard, but I think she'll probably have more support. Less people that are holding their nose to vote for her, but I don't know if that's I'm gonna because I mean, like, I feel like at this point Jackson will probably get more voters. It's a hard call because she'll probably do really well. Um, Turning out more black voters. I mean, we do know North Carolina has one of the highest percentage of black or has one of the highest black percentages in the nation. But what's really weird is that black voters, I think, were actually overrepresented in 2020, or they were at least at normal representation according to their vote share. It was like it's something around like 23% or 24%. It was like 1% of the same. And a lot of people said that she'll be able to turn out black voters. I'm like, yes, it's true, but it really depends on their strength of the black voters. They do really poorly with the black vote, but they also probably need to do decent enough with the white vote. Which is why I'm like, I don't see Jackson or Beasley getting the numbers with these different demographics, unless it's against Pat McCrory. He's a pretty bad nominee. Um, so yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like below. Stay tuned for my next video tomorrow. Please comment your suggestions down below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.